The views on a Breath of Fresh Air podcast reflects the parties involved, and we encourage you all to use it as a conversational tool that will lead to personal studies of your own.
Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
Welcome to a Breath of Fresh Air podcast. Here with your hosts, Earl Roberts and Nakhaz Gay. As a young person, Christianity can be so foggy, like smoke in the mirrors and so unclear. But we're here to bring you a breath of fresh air.
Aaron, can you believe that Moses married a Cushite woman?
Miriam, let me tell you something. I don't know where he find this woman from.
They have so many fish in the sea. He could have gone for an Israelite. He could have gone for an Egyptian. Why? Why this one? Why?
All these Hebrew women we got around the place.
Yeah,
now.
walking around the place, and he just go for this Cushite woman. What is going on?
I don't understand.
And the other thing is, why is it Moses? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with me? Why couldn't God use one of us instead?
Since leaving Egypt, the children of Israel have been centered in the wilderness at the base of Mount Sinai. Now it was time for them to start their journey to the land God promised them and their forefathers. In this episode, we discuss Numbers chapters 1 through 12. Be blessed and enjoy.
All right, welcome back to another episode of a Breath of Fresh Air podcast. Even before we get into it, there's one thing, I guess I on this little inspiration run. So, I don't know, this week, I had some fears about some stuff coming up. So I found this text in Zephaniah. I know Zephaniah,
Where you do that? Where you find that?
Bro, I've never even heard someone even quote a verse from Zephaniah, bro. So when I saw it, I was like, yo, Zephaniah giving it up like this?
What?
Bro, I honestly can't even really tell you what really happened in Zephaniah right now off the top of my head.
I definitely can't tell you that.
And
I'm ashamed because I ain't get there yet in my studies.
You know what I'm saying? I honestly can't wait till we get to the lesser known books like that, or lesser known talked about books that actually unpack them.
I know they got plenty gems.
But back to it, it says, with his love, he will calm all your fears, and his love in this case will be, God. So it's saying with God's love, he will calm all your fears. And it was kind of powerful for me, Zephaniah 3 verse 17. And it just showed no matter what you're going through, no matter what you're afraid of in life, no matter what big obstacle is in your path, that God can still calm your fears. And then we even see as we go through the Bible, he definitely, absolutely, 100% can conquer all of your fears too. There's no giant big enough.
Too big,
that God can't conquer. So that's just a little word of encouragement right there. And, thank God for bringing us to another week.
Amen to that.
Thank you all for tuning in again. And I guess a little bit more housekeeping items. If you're listening on a streaming platform, please be sure to go subscribe on YouTube as well. Leave a comment and like. And if you're watching on YouTube now, hit that like button.
Definitely.
We appreciate it. So last week we finished the book of Leviticus.
Woo!
All in one go.
That felt like a championship. you know what I mean? Once you done accomplished something big. That's how I felt after finishing Leviticus, and also I felt kind of comparable to the way I felt when I got baptized, bro. Just felt fresh and new. I felt like I graduated from something,
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was like a chip on our shoulder for a while. Something we were just fearing about. When we got to it, we're like, yeah, this book's actually pretty good. And then when you actually get to understand the meaning behind the book and the context behind the book and the significance of the book, you're like, oh, wow. I never really knew Leviticus was this deep because throughout most of my life, it was just bashed over my head with the book of Leviticus. Oh, you shouldn't have tattoos. You shouldn't be doing this. You shouldn't be doing this. But then when you actually see the book was actually a purpose to get the people of Israel closer to be with their God and actually have a communion with their God, and it's actually a book of grace and mercy. You're like, oh wow, that's powerful.
You're talking, bro. And then in the book, ain't too much of God threatening to kill you and stuff like that. Like how we can see in Exodus and Numbers, it was specific things where God was I'm ready to just end it all right now, for y'all, truthfully. But basically, he was just laying down some ground rules. This how we gotta do. You know what I'm saying? You all new to this, and it's certain things that needed to be put in place in order to it's like constructive things that needed to be put in place that we need to be able to master and just understand in order to move forward. And at the same time, if you always to fall, this what to do to bounce back. Truthfully, it wasn't so much about him being a dictator type of situation, but he letting them know. I'm letting y'all know, like, to get closer to me, this what you gotta do, and you know you want to get closer to me, and you need to get closer to me. So
it'd be very beneficial for you to get closer to me.
Exactly, and so let's do that, man. Let's just be on one accord. And it's the book of Leviticus, but Leviticus is also a part of like a trilogy. You think you would call them? Or will we put Deuteronomy in there too?
I mean, it depends how technically you're trying to be. Because it's like technically, you know, Leviticus, all of these books form the Torah. So you have Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy that forms that 5-book series, the writings of Moses. So it depends how technical you're trying to be with it.
What I'm saying is, like, when you look at the preface in the Bible, based on the NIV, they put Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers. You see they saying together, and they have one preface for the three of them. You see what I'm saying? Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, so, but yeah, all right, so we in what would this Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers.
I do it too.
The fourth book of the Torah.
Book of the Bible, yeah, the fourth book of the Torah. Like, and it's powerful, like, yo, we 4 books in at this point, so.
Let me just say one thing.
Yo, go for it.
When I was in college, my friend, you know, we all Christians and we all love God, love to talk about God. And he was like, man, the Bible's so interesting. Like, anything you need, like, in the Bible. Then he turns to me and he's like, bro, Nakhaz, you are an accountant. You are an accountant major. Like, they have a book in the Bible called Numbers, bro. And I was like, yeah, I never thought of it that way. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't see the relevance of the two per se, no lie, while reading it. You feel me?
Oh, definitely.
It's like brief touches of Numbers thing, but I don't see nothing different than what we've already seen.
It's like when people just use the Bible proof they point without any background research.
For sure.
It's like, I mean, the book of Numbers do have financial principles in it. Like, we see that when we went through, like, even part of Exodus, how they should be living. And then even we get into Proverbs too, you have like a lot of prior financial kind of Proverbs and gems you actually get from Proverbs. But so the book of Numbers from an accountant, you'd be wrong.
It's a reach, because even if you think about Genesis, when we talk about the lineages, they talk about the ages of all of these people. Like, you could do the math and get how old the earth was. You know what I'm saying? If we talk in numbers, that's a reference to numbers. And then here, like, to me, outside of the census, the census and the census adjacent, because they go into Leviticus, to the Levites, and talk about their numbers. But that, to me, that's all about the census. Like, outside of the census, it's just regular stories to me.
And it's even funny, like, how you say that too. So, like, the book of Numbers, English name is Numbers. I guess that was kind of the Earl. So the book of Numbers is Numbers, right? And people usually think, okay, Numbers starts off with mostly going through a census, and it almost ends off the same way with a census. So people like, that's the English name for it, but actually look at the Hebrew name for it is like Bimagba, something like that. Forgive me, my Hebrew is horrible, but something like that. But that translation literally translates to in the wilderness, or like a travel log. So the Hebrew name for this book is titled In the Wilderness, and once you like understand that, you're like, oh, this book makes way more sense, because you actually see this is really their travel log from Sinai through the desert until they get to right on the border, on the outskirts of Moab and the Promised Land. So it's really a travel log of them in the wilderness. So once you understand that context, you're like, oh, okay, Numbers actually make sense. And the next thing I want to point out, just for like background, so like we kind of talked about this last week in Leviticus too, but you see how Exodus ended. Exodus ended with, you know, them just finished building the tabernacle, God's presence filled the tabernacle, and we see Moses was suddenly stuck outside the tabernacle. Then we see the beginning of Leviticus, God spoke to Moses from outside the tabernacle, you know, giving him all the Levitical laws and all the stuff about purification and the priests and the rituals and stuff. But now, when we look, and now we see, Numbers starts off with, the Lord spoke to Moses in the tent in the desert of Sinai on the first day of the second month of the second year after the Israelites came out of Egypt. So now we see Moses went from outside the tent to God speaking to him outside the tent, to now Moses is now in the tent. So would it be safe to assume that the book of Leviticus worked? for the Israelites?
Oh yeah.
And, because I don't want to say like, we could just do that. I was like, but would it be safe to assume that, people are like, how could you say that? But I'm like, well, literally the Bible just said, we see how Moses went from outside to God talking to him from outside. Now God's talking to him inside the tent. So
yeah, everybody, it was a learning curve, but everybody was up for the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm saying. Like in Leviticus, we don't see too much pushback against these things.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, in Exodus, God laid down a lot of rules, and they're like, yeah, we'll do it. Then the next thing you know, they're not doing it. You understand what I'm saying? Leviticus is just we laying down rules. We see one set of people who didn't obey the rules and how that turned out. You know what I'm saying? And that probably was a mistake because they was drunk, they used the wrong fire, stuff like that. They wasn't rebelling, But now we can see the reason why I could so easily say yes, it worked is because now they moving on to something new. You understand? They're not still fixated on this one thing. Like if you wasn't getting it, we would see more stories on them not getting it. But now we're essentially moving forward and taking on new practices and new teachings.
all right, and then so right after that, we see what the Lord said to Moses was take a census of the whole Israelite community by their clans and families, listing every man by name, one by one. You and Aaron are to number the divisions, all the men in Israel, 20 years old or more, who are able to serve in the army. One man from each tribe, each the head of his family, is to help you. These are the names of the men who will assist you. So we see Reuben, son of Shedar, Simeon, Shemuel, son of Zeri, Shaddai. Interesting. From Judah, Nahshon, son of Amminadab. From Issachar, Nathaniel, son of Zuar, Zebulun, Elab, son of Helon, from the sons of Joseph. From Ephraim, Elishama, son of
Amihud.
From Manasseh, Gamiel, son of
Pedazar. They definitely weren't English-speaking people, bro. That's all I can say.
That's all you can deduce from this, bro.
And it's so funny how, like, in English cultures, they adopt some of these names, like Benjamin. You could even say Don, even though, like, who named?
Yeah.
It's not a popular name just to be Don, but it's, like, short for something or whatever. Asher, Never heard of anybody named God, per se, but...
Yeah, like, almost too close to God.
Yeah, true.
Then you got Naphtali. I knew someone in college named Naphthalia. So I was like, you actually have an interesting name, cute name.
Right, but you don't come across people named Pedazar and Amihud, etc. But anywho, so just now they just was, and we kind of abbreviated it just now. Like they went through the sons of Jacob, not so much the tribes though, but he went through his sons, and then they went through the leader of their son's clan per se. Joseph, his two sons were there, and their leaders, etc. And I don't know, man. I think I can save us a lot of time on this one. Truthfully,
go to number. The one thing, the point is we see Judah had the most.
Yeah, that's all I was gonna say. So basically, they just go, all right, from each son. What was their total number? That's basically what Numbers chapter 1.
And then it's like one thing else to point out too is that, okay, so we look at verse 44, we see it was 600, 550. That was the total number, but then we got to think about it. That wasn't even the total number of the camp. That's just the total number of men.
That was 21 and older.
Exactly.
Excluding the Levites.
Right. And so I just want to paint a picture how big this camp was.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You just how the sheer and think about it, these are the people who just fit to be in the army. Think about the people who probably had like some defects, but disabilities, or just wasn't fit enough to be in the army, or the people who were too old to be in the army.
Yeah, true.
So
so it only factors in able-bodied men during that time. Truthfully, 21 and older though. So like the children, like the women. You understand? So.
Yeah, there's
well over 1 million people here from when they left.
If you just double this number, that's 1 million. You just say like, okay, all of you guys 21 and older probably had a wife or parent who probably can serve. Like, but we could, honestly, I think it would be safe to even multiply this number by 2, like 3 or 4, and that's like a safe estimate of how much people. And this ain't even like think about it. This probably ain't even the Egyptians who with them as well.
True.
Some of the other camps, like so,
Yeah. I mean, we already estimated it was close to 2 million people that left them, and so now we in year 2, month 2 of year 2. So they just leveling up now. Like we getting our military together now. So they functioning as like a people, as like a country or a city.
And then now we see we even get like even more numbers when we go to chapter 2. So chapter 2 really starts talking about how they were to be arranged in the camp. And so like important things, I guess, from chapter 2, I guess we could read through it, but so like I'm gonna just read the first part just to like set up the picture. So the Lord said, Moses and Aaron, the Israelites are to camp around the tent of meeting, some distance from it, each man under his own standard with the banners of his family. So we see, okay, so now just to paint the picture, you have the children of Israelites are camping around the tent of meeting. So God and the tabernacle, because the presence of God was over the tent of meeting. I mean, the cloud was still hovering over the tent of meeting too, and that's just the cloud they were supposed to follow. And the instructions were given, I guess, from Exodus. Whenever the cloud was going to leave the tent of meeting, that's the path they were to follow. But so now, as we go through chapter 2, you'll see some tribes were designated to be on the east. Some were designated to be in the west. Some designated to be like in the north and the south. So now, when you actually imagine,
and then the Levites were
directly around the tent,
in the center.
In the center, yeah. So now, when you like just picture this, I mean, you have like the 4 cardinal directions, like they literally formed a cross with the tabernacle and the Levites in the middle. So that's pretty impressive too. Like a pretty like for the symbology of what the cross represented is going to represent some thousands of years later, like probably like 2,000-3,000 years later.
Some could argue that it's a reach that we pointing out this cross, right? But think about this, bro. If you get a group of people together, how easy is it for them to form a cross? You understand? If not intentionally saying, hey, y'all go like this and go like that. And think about it. If you think about a compass or a legend on a map, north, south, east, and west, it's going to form a cross. Instantly, no matter what.
Yeah.
And it was I don't want to say exact number, but it was probably like 11, 12, or 13 like tribes just based on the suns type of situation. And it's like they were grouping like 3 of y'all in the north. How many of y'all? You understand what I'm saying? It didn't have to be that, bro. It could have been a circle. It could, bro. Like if you just go, like if we go to our festival, John Canoe, you just see people in the crowd, bro.
Exactly.
You can't make a shape out of that. You feel me? And you can't even describe it as it's just people there scattered. You know, whatever you go to a concert, that's just how it is. But they were placed in a way where they definitely had a cross, bro. So it only could be symbology. You know what I'm saying? And why else would that matter though? You know what I'm saying?
In the grand scheme of things, you're right. Because I'm like, y'all just setting up tents. I'm like, y'all, we're in a desert, but why does it have to be organization?
Exactly.
Like we're literally just in a desert. There's no one else really around in our immediate area. You know what I'm saying? Like everyone has their own like little cities scattered throughout, but like no one's like in our immediate area. Like we could just set up our camps.
And then why it can't be each clan have their own area? Why three of us have to come together?
Exactly.
You know
I'm
what I
like, in my mind, I'd be like, yo, keep the army almost closer to the outside. If someone attack us, we got some able-bodied fighters on the ready. Like,
hey. And that could be strategic too. Let's split up this army. North, south, east, and west. You can't sneak us, bro. You feel me? But yeah, that's beautiful though. Like, cause now, like we see the cross now, bro. We see that everywhere, bro. Like people bio, people car sticker, all type of things, and that's symbolizing that you are a Jesus follower. You understand what I'm saying? Like you are a Christian, yeah. So that's what's up.
And then so we get to Numbers chapter 3. I had some notes from Numbers chapter 3. So it's mostly talking about the Levites. So we see the sons of Levi and from their descendants, each like different son descendant had a different role to play in the service of the tabernacle. So God already said, like, so the Levites are going to be kind of set apart from the rest of the children of Israel. So we see some had specifically the roles of like caring for like the curtains, the pillars, the actual temple furnishings. They were the only ones who actually could touch the ark. When they were moving, they were the ones who actually could touch the furnishings in the temple when they were like moving and stuff. So like each tribe of Levi, like all the descendants, they had like their specific roles to play in the tabernacle.
Yeah, and that's there.
Anything I missed in your?
Not for real. They just started taking like numbers of the certain types of Levites. Those who are gonna do this, like it was this many people who did this, type of thing. So it's more on the census tip because up until that point we didn't have a census for them because in the first chapter they took a census of everyone except the Levites because the Levites were not to go to war. They were not involved in the war because their thing was a spiritual thing. their responsibility is going to be taking care of the tabernacle, moving it whenever they move and stuff like that. And then also they're going to have to atone and offer sacrifices for the whole camp. And, God made it very distinct that the Levites are his firstborns. You understand what I'm saying? And the firstborn is dedicated to him. Same way with sacrificing. You get the firstborn lamb for sacrifice, X, Y, Z. And so that's why the Levites were set apart from everybody else. And I was thinking to myself, bro, like, imagine being like you a fighter, bro, like, and you bowed to action, but you was born into the Levite clan, like. And that's just so funny because God ways are not our ways. You understand what I'm saying? You might, like to me,
you're ready for war, but you gotta blow the trumpet,
right? You understand? I was born to fight that. You know what I'm saying? But you gotta do the lamps and the curtains and stuff like that, bro. Like to me, it's not fair. It's completely not fair. Anytime I see somebody 6'5" and over in height, I don't want to see you as like a doctor or an accountant.
You're like, bro, you should be some sport.
Right, if you don't go on the course somewhere, bro.
You should be on the field or the sport. Guys, like, you can't let this height go to waste.
That is so funny because truthfully, bro, your height doesn't have to dictate who you want to be. You can be 7 foot tall, but you can say, man, I want to be an astronaut. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to be a dancer. I want to be a pilot. And bro, do you? You know what I'm saying? Your height don't have to dictate it. And truthfully, that's a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people because some people don't know what they're passionate about versus what they call to do. And the Levites, based on your clan, you are called to do certain things. And that's just how it was. You understand? And when I read that, I was just like, man, I know the human in me or the selfishness in me, bro, to be set apart. And I might be jumping the gun a little bit because they talk about Nazarites too.
Yeah, they talk about the Nazarites too. But yeah, we can talk about it. It's in this book and it's going to be in this episode.
Yeah, so. True. So, all right, let me see if there's anything in the interim.
I mean, the only thing in the interim too is like, okay, so like the Levites blind into chapter 4 as well. And then so in chapter 5, because the Nazarites is chapter 6, if I remember correctly. So, but in chapter 5, we talk about like purity in the camp. Command the Israelites to stay away from the camp and anyone who has an infectious disease, which, I mean, if you got leprosy, don't go around them, please, people. You know what I'm saying?
If you defile in any type of way, especially even if a dead body, and we already talked.
We talked about this in Leviticus.
Yeah. So
and it's like, honestly, because I mean, at that point, you yourself would be unclean. So it's like, try to avoid it if you could. You know what I'm saying?
And this is interesting too, though, because we know this is a new law that's coming about. This probably been around for about a year, maybe a little less, because they in year 2 right now. Excuse me. But there are still situations coming around where they like, hey man, but like suppose I doing X, Y, Z and I just end up coming across a dead body or someone die in my presence and I was pure the whole time. Like what to do then? You understand? So now they tackling those very distinct circumstances.
Yeah, like we had some time to grapple with these laws, but are we like, okay, now what do we do in these specific circumstances? Exactly. Like expound this a little bit more for me.
Yeah.
And we also see like restitution for the wrong. Say to the Israelites, when a man or woman wrongs another in any way, and so is unfaithful to the Lord, that person is guilty and must confess the sin he's committed. He must make a full restitution for his wrong. Add 1/5 to it and give it all to the person he has wronged. But if that person who has no close relative to whom the restitution can be made for the wrong, the restitution belongs to the Lord and must be given to the priest along with the ram, which atonement is made for him. All the sacred contributions to the Israelites, bring it to a priest will belong to him. Each man's sacred gift are his own, but what he gives to the priest will belong to the priest. Oh, the test for the unfaithful wife was also kind of...
That was so interesting to me.
That was very interesting.
That come out of nowhere for me.
Oh, so like, okay, so chapter 5, verse 11. The Lord said to Moses, speak to the Israelites and say to them, if a man's wife goes astray and is unfaithful to him by sleeping with another man, so we know things was happening in the Israelite camp. We ain't gonna, glorify that. It's wrong. And I mean, cheating goes both ways. I don't want to say, pick a side here, because...
Yeah, definitely. I ain't into that.
Yeah.
You said they said, but you know what I am into, bro? I into talking on the Bible. You feel me? Because it's like, it's a time now where it's like, bro, you don't want to offend no one.
Exactly.
And then it's like women have been marginalized for some time.
For a long time.
So it's like we marginalize as a people based on our race, and then women within that, they get the shortest end of the stick. You understand what I'm saying? But I don't agree with ignoring stuff. Period. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it's saying in the Bible, bro. Like this specific instance is talking about a wife. We have other instances where they talk about both sides. You understand what I'm saying? That's a fact, bro. We can. Well, who you thinking about?
No, man. I saw something this weekend say, you know how we live in Florida, and someone said, imagine putting a Florida man to the Bible stories, and how would that go?
That would be crazy, bro.
A Florida man had subordinate killed and took his wife.
True. Florida man engages with women who he believes is a prostitute, but really is his daughter-in-law, right? And that, bro, no lie, bro. If you put that on right now, they'd be like, yeah, that's typical Florida because
man.
Florida man, like for those who, let me put a caveat out here. I'm not saying that this is an accurate depiction of people in Florida, but it's a running joke, especially on social media. When you think about the most bizarre articles, especially the ones that come from Florida, it starts off by saying Florida man wrestles alligator, or you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's not even bizarre, truthfully, but they have a lot of.
A Florida man dies by prehistoric birth. It was actually an article last year that actually did happen. You were like, how? But
right. So if you apply those things, bro, it's some nasty men in the Bible, bro. I ain't even gonna lie. Not even nasty to say like. See, actually, I'm just talking about they messy, like some messy guys, bro. Truthfully, Judah was one of them, man. You know what I'm saying? We ain't in Genesis no more, but I believe that he has repented of his ways and stuff like that. We don't have no.
Judah have been dead so long now.
By now, right? But we can see, but just to backtrack a little bit, we can see where when Joseph was around, he was so apologetic, and you can see he had a change of heart. The Bible talk in Numbers, they talk about the demeanor of Moses. They say Moses was the most humblest man on earth. But that didn't sound like the guy who was in Egypt, the guy who was who killed. You understand what I'm saying? But whatever. So this just a little synopsis of a test for a faithful woman.
Go for it.
If a guy suspects his wife of cheating, right? Whether he's right or wrong, maybe he's just jealous out of nowhere, or maybe because like sometimes. Just the way, like sometimes when stuff like that happens, it like puts a wedge between the two parties involved because they start moving different. You can feel this energy shift. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Like our boy says, you're moving spooky.
Moving spooky. Shout out to Elijah. But at the same time, it's like sometimes, bro, like your guilty conscience doesn't allow you to continue being the same way. And like just something in between there. But there's also sometimes where a guy can be insecure for whatever reason. So it's two things right now. If the guy suspects his wife of cheating, one, if she really has cheated and she ain't disclosed that information because there was no witness, or if a guy just suspected because of his own jealousy, you go to the priest, you give a certain offering, the priest make you take an oath and drink this bitter water, and this bitter water is gonna put a curse on you. This was so interesting to me, bro. No lie. Because you have to kind of take an oath to say, hey, I did not do X, Y, and Z. And if you are innocent, nothing would happen to you. But if you are guilty, you would be barren. They say you will miscarry, basically. So even when you get pregnant, or maybe you will get pregnant right then and there. I couldn't really understand what they was trying to say there. But I just know a baby is gonna be in you, but it's not gonna come out. You're gonna miscarry. And especially during these times, having a child, especially a male child, was extremely important for women. And so basically that's just one of those very specific or unique things that they had to kind of put a law in place for. I don't know if anything inspired that. Maybe people was trying to, cover their neighbor
too much,
cover their neighbor's wife and things like that. You understand what I'm saying? Or
it's just so interesting how effects in this Old Testament were so immediate too,
bro.
It was like, now you're gonna know. So we're gonna get in some stories too. We're gonna be like, no, okay. And we even saw last week too when the sons of Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, one moment and they was
gone.
And Moses was like, hey, get
your cousins and stuff. Get your other relatives. We ain't dealing with what we dealing with now. Get them out of here. But yeah, bro, it was crazy, bro. It was crazy because it was still a lot of audacity among the Israelites.
And it goes to show the humans too.
That's what I was gonna say, and it's no different from human beings, bro. There's a lot of audacity running around, bro, in Christians, just in the world at large. You understand what I'm saying?
So now we get to your Nazarite in chapter 6.
Nazarite. So, quick little side story. I was working at the gas station, and I don't know if they liked me or they just didn't have enough room to fit me in when I came down as a summer student, or like when I came from college. So eventually they put me as a cashier. And typically women do the cashier job. You understand what I'm saying? It's like outside you typically almost always see men outside pumping gas. Even though I've worked with a few women who are pump attendants who pump the gas for you. And this lady came up to me and was like, "Hey man, you a really handsome dude. You like really put together." As an older lady. You know what I'm saying? She's probably like in her 50s. You know, she looked like she was going to church or coming from church because it was a Sunday. And she was like, "I really think you should cut your hair though." You know what I'm saying? And I was joking because I ain't taking that too serious. Cause I don't know, I might never see you again in life. I was like, you don't know, man, she did bring the Bible into it, bro. I had to tell her, "No, man, I ain't gonna cut my hair XYZ." And she asked me if I was a Christian. And I say, "Mom, you don't know his power." I say if I cut my hair, I can lose my power, right? Like to continue the conversation of Christianity, right? And then she started getting really uncomfortable. Like, no, you should cut your hair, XYZ. And I was like, "Mom, you aware of what a Nazarite was? John the Baptist was a Nazarite. He was instructed by God not to cut his hair." You understand what I'm saying? So they're like, there could never be an argument for cutting your hair. It could be an argument against cutting your hair, cutting your beard. Leviticus, we have stuff cutting the sides of your hair. You understand what I'm saying? They say stuff like that. But I just find her so interested. And here we are with the Nazarites. That was one of their things. Do not cut your hair. Unless you become defiled or something. You know what I'm saying? If a Nazarite encounters a dead body, even if it's by mistake, they have to cut their hair, they have to offer sacrifice, stuff like that. We also have where they're not to drink strong drink, right? But
no, go for it.
But that's not all. If the strong drink, because we know where strong drink comes from, especially wine, comes from grapes, right? So yeah, let's just take it a step further.
That's what I was going to say, bro. Bro, they couldn't even eat raisins, bro.
No, they couldn't eat grapes, couldn't eat raisins.
Like, it was like, you know what, we going to protect y'all even from this. Like, this goes against the extra rules. Okay, guess what? Y'all can't, ain't no wine. Y'all can't even drink vinegar made from wine or any other fermented beverage. Guess what? You know what? Y'all can't even drink grape juice. Guess what? Even after that, y'all can't even eat grapes. Oh, yeah, guess what? Y'all can't even eat raisins.
Bro, what John the Baptist ate?
Locust and honey.
Wild honey, bro.
Locust and honey, bro.
That's how John the Baptist came.
I used to be like, I used to get this honey. This is a story for next day, but I'm like, bro, bees, yes, I guess you used to smoke?
Now, what I'm telling you, bro, as someone who goes on TikTok and watches people who deal with bees, some people can sense when a hive is unruly or when they chilling. You understand what I'm saying? And when they unruly, that's when you get the smoke.
My thing is, how often you come across a bee's nest?
Nakhaz, I know, but if you live in the wilderness, bro, I'm sure you can find plenty of them. And then think about this, bro.
But I'm like, where they could be in the wilderness?
But
I'm
think about this, bro.
What is a bee pollinating in the wilderness?
Bro, I ain't talking about the Hebrews. I know, I ain't talking about the Hebrews in the wilderness. I'm talking about John the Baptist in the wilderness. Like, not them specifically. Because remember, he lived in the wilderness too. Think about this, bro. You get to a bee's nest or whatever it's called, bro. You don't have, bro, that's not honey that you only eat in one day, bro. That's a lot of honey you get. If you able to capture a whole nest, that's a lot of honey, bro. That's like a month's worth of honey per se.
Yeah.
I don't know how you gotta ration it out from there. Shoot, the Lord provides, bro. I don't know how he ate. I just know he was a Nazarite. And so they talk about even if a Nazarite comes across a dead body, or if somebody drops dead just right in front of them, just by mistake, you know what I'm saying, they have to consecrate themselves, you know what I'm saying, cut off your hair, stuff like that. And we can see, which I think, so we know Samson was a Nazarite.
Samson was a Nazarite. And we see how he broke a lot of those vows.
Yeah. No. Samson was chilling.
He was not a good example of a Nazarite.
Right, he's not the model.
The only thing he did was kept his hair until the very end.
For sure, and he even broke that. but I guess he never been around a dead body because, you know.
How much people he killed?
Oh, he killed plenty of people. What I talking about? He was the reason for the dead bodies. Samson didn't care, bro.
Samson broke all of his Nazarite vows,
bro. That is crazy.
Oh my, and I even want to spoil the story, but the thing was even more powerful about Samson too. He was actually a judge at the time. So he's actually the leader of the Israelites at the time. And he was a Nazirite. And he just was playing dirty.
Bro, imagine if that was your king, bro. Like, imagine if that was your ruler, bro.
Samson.
But who could put him in check?
When he was the strongest man on earth.
Exactly. 3 guns.
with a jawbone. But I mean, that like the funny thing about like that story even ties back into the book of Numbers too. Like we could see how people was rebelling. Anyway, I don't want to get to it, but we just show like how God's love still conquers all. Because I'm like, yo, Samson was so rebellious, but God still never ever took his strength away from him. Because think about it, it's supposed to be a 2-way deal. You would do all of this, and I bless you with strength.
That's a fact.
You ain't holding up to any of your bargain for years, but your strength never diminished. Like God still always kept his side of the bargain, even when Samson didn't. And that's like powerful. Stay tuned for the Samson episode in a couple months.
Definitely. And I like Samson, one of my favorite people in the Bible. Yeah, and so also one thing to note, you get dedicated as a Nazirite at birth, but sometimes it's not like for the rest of your life. You understand what I'm saying? Like sometimes it's like a portion of your life that you would be a Nazirite, and then from there you could drink strong drink. It's a few rules on what they can and cannot do, and when they can and cannot do it for the Nazirites. I just thought it pretty interesting because here we see, you know, they're mandated not to cut their hair, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm all about that. Like you feel me? Like, and but at the end of the day, you could do what you want to do, bro. Like wear your hair how you want, cut your hair, whatever. It's whatever.
And then one more thing from chapter 6 that stood out to me is, I don't know what you call these, I guess in church, a doxology, but it's like the outro or something, but like it's like the goodbye. But Number 6:22, the Lord told Moses, I guess 24 anyway, the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face towards you and give you peace.
Famous prayer.
Yeah, like, and it's just so powerful too. Like, man.
Famous prayer. I would have never guessed where in the Bible these things is, but I would have guessed Psalms maybe.
I definitely wasn't guessing numbers. I tell you that.
Yeah, truthfully. But yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing because I've heard that many times, many crusades, many pastors. You know, it's a nice prayer. No lie.
It's a nice little outro too. Ma, remember when we was in
the Bahamas Academy? Oh.
Not even Bahamas.
I thought this made a long watch between.
No, but I was gonna say, man, I remember like a couple episodes ago. It was during the I think it was like the Isaac episode when he was getting his wife, and he was like, "I need to start blessing people because everyone was just getting blessings."
When I read that, I thought about that too, bro.
That's what that made me thought of again just now
bro,
too.
You gotta start pronouncing blessings on people because they wasn't wasting words, bro. Like you never know when you can see them last and they say, "Bro."
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I mean, this is
like your enemy is your footstool type of
both
thing.
life and death are in the tongue.
That's true.
So I'm like, yo, just gotta be more conscious of what you say to people, and because like you said, you never know when you're gonna see them again last.
That's a fact.
So in Numbers 27.
27.
Chapter 7. I just want to be done with the book, eh?
Bro, for real.
Cause was like, bro, how you get all the way there?
I know you like Balaam, but whoa, bro. Yeah, let's don't rush. Let's get there.
Oh my. So we start talking about the dedication of the tabernacle. So it was I guess a bunch of things that they did. We see how the furnishings were consecrated, and all the furnishings we went back over in our Exodus episodes. You see like the table of the showbread, the incense, the altar burnt sacrifice. So all of these, and we see everyone had to bring a lamb. So we see the second day Nathaniel brought a lamb. The third day Eliab brought a lamb. The first day was Nahshon, son of Abinadab, from the tribe of Judah. So we like go down to the tribes and we see what they were. What each of them did. So, like for example, on his offering was 1 silver plate weighing 130 shekels. Like that's a lot of silver.
Yeah.
So I mean, so they just went through the consecration of the temple in chapter 7 of Numbers. Definitely read it on your own. I didn't really see anything that stood out to me predominantly in that chapter. I don't know about you because I very well could have missed something. It was an interesting read just to see like what all they brought.
Yeah, I think that was just straightforward. As we can see in these past few books, some things is just straightforward, you know. Well, right now, until something divinely has been revealed to us, because you never know. Next time our next time going over this book, we might be like,
Whoa, how did we miss this?
Yeah.
And then we see in chapter 8, they were talking about the setting up of the lamps, and they're talking about the Levites again, how they were supposed to be set apart, and they're a part of their purification, and just going through some of that. So just talking about the Levites again. And then chapter 9, we get back to like the Passover. So this would have been like second Passover they were celebrating in the desert? Because they were,
This year too.
This year too. Then the Lord spoke to Moses in the desert of Sinai in the first month of the second year. Hold on. Did we just go back in time?
In the first month of the second year.
Yeah. Didn't we start the book?
I think we started in the first.
No, we started
in the second month.
The second month.
Yeah, we started in the second month. February 1st.
Yeah, so this is Jewish calendar, so we didn't know this was February. February didn't exist yet.
Yeah, I just converted it
to what we used to. So yeah, okay. So that gives me more clarity. Because remember at the pre-pod, we was like wondering like, yo, the timelines, and we see like, okay, this book jumping around a little bit.
See, boy, I know, bro. I know. I mean, see, but it makes sense because it's like, you have to get to the Passover at certain times, at a certain time. You understand what I'm saying? And then when did the Passover would be the first month. Because think about it, because they had the Passover and then they then they left Egypt. You understand what I'm saying? So everything from there, on their 1 year anniversary would be the Passover. If you understand what I'm saying? So year 2, it would have to start at the first month. And then you can't start the book with the Passover, truthfully, if they was trying to set it off with like the census and just the different tribes and stuff like that. So I guess that's why they do it. The only reason why this kind of like a little uncomfortable to me is because when we get to the quails, bro, we still don't know for sure if this the second time the quails came around or the first time. And people listening out there, y'all can provide some context on that, because we want to believe it's the second, just the way it was presented and just the outcome of it. But sometimes the Bible doesn't go in order. So this could be calling back to a time in Exodus 16, when they first saw the quails, All
right, so like after the Passover, still in Numbers chapter 9, one thing that's kind of important, they said, picking up from verse 15, on the day the tabernacle, the tent of the testimony, was set up, the cloud covered it from evening till morning. The cloud above the tabernacle looked like fire. That's how it continued to be. The cloud covered it at the night, and it looked like fire. Okay. Whenever the cloud lifted from above the tent, the Israelites set out. Wherever the cloud settled, the Israelites encamped. At the Lord's command, the Israelites set out. And at his command, they encamped. As long as the cloud stayed over the tabernacle, they remained in the camp. When the cloud remained over the tabernacle a long time, the Israelites obeyed the Lord's order and did not set out. Sometimes the cloud was over the tabernacle only a few days at the Lord's command, and they would encamp, and then at his command, they would set out. Sometimes the cloud stayed only an evening till morning. And when it lifted in the morning, they set out, whether by day or night. Whenever the cloud lifted, they set out. Whether the cloud stayed over the tabernacle for 2 days or a month or a year, the Israelites would remain in camp until they set out. I thought this was when the cloud lifted, but okay.
So to me, it was like they would have had to constantly just been looking out for that cloud.
I mean, it wasn't really a constant look. It's like you wake up in the morning, where's the cloud?
But even if it stayed for a year.
But because if it stayed for a year, it means they just ain't moving. Because remember the tabernacle, the cloud just constantly over the tabernacle. So you get up in the morning, you just look.
Yeah.
You just look in the direction of the tabernacle.
Right. Yeah, I feel it, because that's their GPS.
Yeah, it's like you ain't got to think, because I'm like, on a normal day, you don't have to think too much. It's like you get up and you look and you're like, oh.
Like cloud ain't move. But my thing is, did the cloud only move at the beginning of the day? Because let's say this cloud get to moving.
But at the same time too, it's like, it's up to Moses too. Moses is the leader, so when Moses say, okay, the cloud move, let's get up, let's pack up and go.
And then at the same time, the cloud can move far. You could go, you could travel, and you could still see the cloud, bro. Like,
yeah, and the same, like I think too, like it might just move slightly, or just like it
might just start
it's
moving.
In the four cardinal. It's like the tent set up in the four cardinal direction. So if anything, the cloud, I don't know. Granted, let me just preface this. I would just think I would be like, all right, cool. I'm moving south, so I'm just gonna come to this end of the camp. So like, okay, I'm in the back of the tribe of Dan.
That's true, and that gave everyone enough time too.
Yeah,
and it's like estimated over 1 million people.
Exactly, and think about it. Each time the cloud moves, they'll have to pack up everything again.
So this crowd couldn't have been speeding. True.
Like you have to like pack up your tent, pack up all the stuff you probably had out. You got comfortable for the night, or if you were there for a year, like you set up shop, bro. Like we ain't traveling a year. Like, are we even going to move anytime soon?
Yeah.
So you're just like, oh, okay, then you get your herd and everything ready. So to mobilize 1 million people, even in today's day with a lot of technology, is not an easy task.
That's true, and you can see right here in Leviticus, they foreshadow or even a year. Because at this point in time, right now, in the second year, or the first month of the second year, it couldn't have sat nowhere for a year. You understand? Because they've moved within these years and they documented that. But when they stuck in the wilderness for 40 plus years, you could imagine that it could be a whole year when that cloud didn't move.
Yeah.
You understand?
Especially, we're going to get to that later on in the book of Numbers, but you're going to see they was in this desert for a while.
I'm telling you.
And the book is called In the Wilderness, ladies and gentlemen. And let me say, it definitely did earn that name.
For sure.
In the wilderness.
But now I don't like how the English adaptation
called it Numbers.
Yeah, no, like what they do to pick their to pick their titles, because the most pivotal thing in Exodus was the Exodus story, but there was a lot of things that's super pivotal too. Like we have the 10 Commandments, they have the plagues, which is part of the Exodus story, but then it's just a lot of stuff that's happening, right? But they say, hey, because they exited, we're gonna name it the Exodus. Well, I don't know whose decision that was, but the author of Exodus, the real author, named it the Book of Names. That's what it's called in the Hebrew manuscripts and stuff like that. Numbers, bro, we only get numbers for like the first 4 or 5 chapters. You understand what I'm saying? The stuff relevant to numbers. Everything else is like Genesis, bro. Like we just get in story after story with this line of people.
And that's the next thing. I don't even think, did I point this out yet? But like the structure of Numbers is actually pretty interesting, because even though they say like in the desert and it's like their travel log, but it's like, that's actually the structure. So like the first part of Numbers is, you have 3 main parts of Numbers. Them in the desert of Sinai, them at Paran, in the desert of Paran, and then them in like desert of Moab. So you have like these 3 main sections. And then after that, in between like the first section and the third section, you have like them traveling, which we're going to get to. Then after Paran, you have them traveling to Moab again. So it's literally a travel log, as all of them traveling while they're in the desert. So you're following their path from Sinai through the desert, getting to the promised land. So like the name In the Desert makes sense. And like through our Exodus episodes, we specifically point out how In the Book of Names was a very, very fitting title for the book of Exodus. Like about who names were mentioned when, who names were not mentioned. And then the Lord himself said his name. You know what I'm saying? So it's just very powerful. Definitely check out those episodes. And so yeah, now we're in the book called In the Wilderness.
And what is more important than that, bro? In the wilderness, bro, because everything that's written in this book is in relation to the wilderness. You understand what I'm saying? But the 10 Commandments ain't directly related to Exodus in Egypt. You understand what I'm saying? So yeah, I mean, I feel like the names was good as is, but so at the same time, the names don't take away from the stories at the same time. So like
it just adds extra context,
right? But it ain't that important at the end of the day. Like I could, like in the NIV, bro. When I look at Song of Solomon, bro, on this Bible.com website, it calls Song of Songs.
Yeah, some people say Songs of Solomon. I don't know why.
Exactly. Like so, sometimes the names just don't matter, bro, because it's like the content is what really matters.
All right. So now we were in
chapter 10.
Chapter 10.
Silver trumpets.
Yeah, those are just interesting. Like this is some part of the tribe of Levi who had to go out and play the trumpets.
Yeah, for different occasions.
And like the trumpets would give signals to the tribes on what to do. So it was kind of interesting too, like that communication system. Because I mean, even though I was thinking like, think about it, like if you're like the third tribe down south or to the east or the west, like you ain't really gonna hear like the direct commands of Moses. And if I was Moses, I personally don't want to have to be walking. Okay, bro, you gotta walk all 4 directions each time something changed. So like it was kind of smart. Like, yeah, okay, we going, these trumpets gonna give us direction. Okay, the camp is moving out. Play the note A or something, whatever notes they had back then. Or play this tune, and everyone know you had that. Time to set out. We'll just follow the cloud, which way the cloud going. We can follow, and they actually, and also we didn't say this, but when they're moving, like they had one layer for when they were structured in place. But each time they would go out to move as well, they also had a different. They had an order in which they were marching out. So
right. So I can just go over it briefly. Chapter 10, verse 4. If only one is sounded, the leaders, the heads of the clans of Israel, are to assemble before you. When a trumpet blast is sounded, the tribes come in on the east are to set out. At the sound of a second blast, the camps on the south are to set out. The blast will be the signal for setting out. To gather the assembly, blow the trumpets, but not with the signal for setting out. So it's like just off of that, like they had different, like just different trumpet sounds, not sounds, but just different times when they blow the trumpet. If you hear this, you know this gonna happen, you know, etc.
And so now we see in verse 11, on the 12th day of the second month of the second year, the cloud lifted. This is what I was looking for last time. The cloud lifted from above the tabernacle of the testimony. Then the Israelites set out from the desert of Sinai and traveled from place to place until the cloud came to rest in the desert of Paran. So now we see that whole from like 1 to 10, they were in the desert of Sinai for 2 years. So, and we know at Mount Sinai is where they got the 10 commandments, they got all the Levitical laws. Everything's like that was their resting place essentially after they came out of Egypt. So you see they were at that point for 2 years. They had a lot of growth, one would assume. At this point in the story, we would assume that they grew up a little bit. We
Honestly, at this point in the story, you would assume that, you know, our troubles of last year wouldn't be brought into the new year.
Exactly. Exactly. We got introduced to God. We have some ways our society should be governed, how it should be set up, how it should be structured. We got some laws to come about. We got some elders now to help out. We got some priests to know.
So we had to cut out some people.
Exactly.
Who
lost some faith people around the way.
Yeah. So, I mean, bro, all of that is strengthen people. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you think you would grow?
Yeah. No.
Iron sharpening iron.
Bro, of course they grew, bro. Of course they grew.
Oh,
what else could they have done but grow from all of that, you know?
And then we see, I guess I jumped the gun again. The divisions of the camp of Judah went first under their standard. Then Nation son of Abinadab was in command. And then we just get the order on which the 12 tribes were structured and how they marched. So that was the order I kind of alluded to earlier.
So basically, the Israelites are now on the move. The cloud has moved. So they already set up everything. You understand? Up until this point, we got which clans go where. We got what the Levites doing, X, Y, Z. We are a functioning society. And now we are on the move. Want to go to chapter 11?
Oh, I was trying to remember like this last part of chapter 10. So now Moses said to Haboab, son of Earl the Midianite, Moses' father-in-law, we are setting out for a place about which the Lord said, I will give it to you. Come with us and we will treat you well, for the Lord has promised good things to Israel. He answered, no, I will not go. I am going back to my own land and to my own people. And Moses said, no, please don't leave us. You know where we should camp in the desert, and you can be our eyes. If you come with us, we will share with you whatever good things the Lord gives to us. So they set off from the mountain of the Lord and traveled for 3 days. The ark of the covenant of the Lord went before them during those 3 days to find a place at rest. The cloud of the Lord was over them by night, over them by day when they set out from the camp. Wherever the ark set out, Moses said, rise up, O Lord, may your enemies be scattered before you. May your foes flee before you. Whenever it came to rest, he said, return, O Lord, to the countless thousands of Israel.
I didn't know your boy was still there.
Yeah, me either.
He stayed there for 2 years, bro. Like, cause he come off like he was trying to like, yo, come get your wife. You understand? He ain't gonna leave her here and abandon your family now. Come take care of your peoples. And then, you know, he gave him some counsel. And I guess, and probably isn't spoken about. Well, it isn't spoken about, but I guess Moses felt a little bit of assurance of having somebody older and wiser, you know, who's a priest too, you know, just come and just give him some wisdom, you know, and it's his father-in-law, so.
Still family. Might have keep his, you know, wife at peace too.
Yep.
And so this is what we was talking about earlier, partially. So first, just kick off chapter 11. Now the people complained about their hardships in the hearing of the Lord, and when he heard them, his anger was aroused. Then the fire from the Lord burned among them and consumed some from the outskirts. When the people cried out to Moses, he prayed to the Lord, and the fire died down. So the place was called Tibera, because fire from the Lord burned among them.
Let me ask you this, right? And I might be nitpicky right now. Verse 1 says, now the people complained. But a lot of times we hear the Israelites. But this is saying the people. You understand what I'm saying? And then outskirts of the camp. Who would be in the outskirts of the camp?
I got one better for you. I'm going to read Deuteronomy 23.
Because truthfully, a lot of times, like, the Bible just straight up say, like, the Israelites did this, did that. and I'm reading from the NIV, but it says the people, which leads me to believe that although Israelites could be involved, mainly this was a mixed crowd. Maybe the Egyptians that came about, start to complain. And we started to joke a couple minutes back, and we was just like, no way they can keep that up. But that was just sarcasm, because we know, if we know one thing about the Israelites, they are a complaining people. Like, like they just don't get it. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like this is like a microcosm of Christians or just humans in general. Like, we don't get it. Like, even in the midst of God, you could still miss all of this. You feel me? You could still be a brat.
And so, like, I mean, if you could, so we know we didn't get to Deuteronomy yet. We're going to get there in a bit. But Deuteronomy 23, verse 7, do not abhor an Edomite, for he is your brother. Do not abhor an Egyptian, because you lived as an alien in the country. The third generation of children born to them may enter the assembly of God. So chapter 23 is just talking about chapter 23, 1 through 8 was just talking about people who are excluded from being like in the immediate assembly of them. So when the children of Israelites were set up on the outskirts, would have been some of the foreigners that had picked up along the way. So they weren't really allowed to like be
the Edomites too.
The Edomites, the Egyptians who came with them from Egypt. They were kind of outcasts in the camp. I wouldn't say outcasts. They were part of the camp, but they're like on the outskirts. Like they had no prominence in the camp, so they couldn't really be like, they wasn't living where Judah tribe was living. You know what I'm saying? They wasn't living where Benjamin tribe was living. Yeah. Like they were on the outskirts. So like one could surmise that on the outskirts of the camp, y'all even have more reason to say we were living good in Egypt because.
Yeah. And bro, if we could understand that piece,
exactly,
you could understand. Because bro, when I read this, I was like, oh, these slaves was living good. But it might not have been the slaves really leading this charge. You know, and they might have been eating good too, because we can see in Exodus when they was talking about, oh, we had all type of meat. There was the Israelites saying that.
Yeah,
you understand what I'm saying? This time around, it take a different tone, because it's like it's put in place as if it was more than just the Israelites, or it was people other than the Israelites.
Little hints like that, like people like would miss too, like. Because you're just so used to saying the people, so you're saying the other people, so obviously these people be talking about the Israelites, but when you actually take a step back and understand the context, like we kind of preach on, you're like, oh, hold on. Where were these people on the outskirts? Why was it so easy for them to just be talking up because they were already single on the outskirts? Who were the people living on the outskirts? And even like you go one step further, you see the Egyptians were living on the outskirts, or the foreigners who weren't Hebrews. But then you actually could, follow and say, okay, on next to them would have been the tribe of this person or the tribe of this person, depends on which direction it's something like how deep you want to go. And you could like paint the whole picture. And
then think about this, truthfully, let's say we had Egyptians, right? Which they did. If everybody have to go to their tribe, where are these Egyptians gonna go if they not from any of
these tribes?
You understand what I'm saying? So they would have to be somewhere, but not a part of these tribes, because these strict stuff right here. They have to take a census of this. You understand what I'm saying? And so yeah, it would make sense that they would be on the outskirts.
Because like when I went to college on the West Coast, so it wasn't too much Bahamians there, naturally to say. So for like the freshman program, freshman orientation, they call it Jumpstart. So all the freshmen like kind of get to know the campus. They have like freshman activities, just like a complete week before school start. And so one of the activities, they carry like all the freshmen out to this park or whatever. And it's like, oh yeah, so if you're from California, go here. If you're from this state, go here. You go to this. So like at the end, it was just a bunch of international students just left because we didn't belong to anybody. And then like just to make us feel better, so you guys could group together. I met like one of my best friends in college during that, right? But I'm like, it just felt so awkward because like you felt like you have no place of belonging.
I've been there. Bro.
You're like, oh shoot, like can't go with these people, can't go with these people, can't go with these people. And you're just like, wow, like I don't belong anywhere.
To me, that's almost like when you fill in an application and they say they have all of the races and then they have African American as one, but it don't say black. My mind, I'm like, what I can do with this? I ain't African and I'm American. What I can do with this? No.
In college, I tried to get spicy with a teacher like that. They didn't appreciate it.
No, see, but anyway, we about to go on a tangent, but I understand the context of it all,
So back to that. So So now in verse 4, Kazi alluded to this earlier. So now we see the rabble with them begin to crave other food. And again, the Israelites started to wailing and said, so now we see the Israelites specifically again, if only we had meat to eat. We remember the fish we ate in Egypt at no cost, also the cucumbers, the melons, the leeks, the onions, the garlic. But we have lost appetite. We never see anything but manna.
And think about this, right? We already have a group of people who fire come and burn them up, right? Why fire come and burn them up? Because they was complaining so much, right? Bro, stuff like that just actually get contagious, bro. You get to see some people start complaining but this and that. Other people like, yeah, I don't have to, you know what I'm saying? Like,
but my thing is too, right? And I guess this kind of answers our question because we see they already get the manna here in Exodus Day. That's when they get the manna and the quail.
They had gotten it at the same time.
Yeah. So, but my thing is, when they got the manna the first time, it was a blessing. And even now, it's still a blessing. And this manna is coming from heaven each morning, just as much as you need, day after day, just forming in the desert. You need to do nothing. Miracle food.
You don't have to hunt.
You're being fed at the desert for free. But now, you feel entitled. Because think about it. Like, we just surmised there's probably over 2 million people. Safe estimate. All of y'all are getting fed for free at no effort to you. You know what I'm saying? But now y'all complaining all we get is manna. You should be happy. Thank God we get manna because outside of this, we have to find food in a desert. Like, I just want to paint this picture clear for people. Like, they're still in a desert.
Bro, imagine this, right? Because this is what I'm going to say, bro. I ain't gonna lie. You know me personally. I'm the type of dude I can eat the same thing every day. I can eat the same thing every meal, every day. You understand? Especially when I lock in. I do that until I get super tired of it, then I can't eat it no more. You understand what I'm saying? But it takes a long time for that to happen, you know? And some things I don't get tired of, truthfully. Bro, it's one thing for you to say, can we get some variety? Right? If I'm sure all the humans listening could agree to that. Sometimes it get too methodical. But imagine me saying this, bro. I have two options. I could go to my fiance, my soon-to-be wife, and say, hey.
Shout out, Yana.
Right, shout out, Yana. I would like you to cook something else for me, right? Or I can say, man, my ex used to give me all type of food. Let's consider that. Because sometimes it ain't what you say, it's how you say it.
It's how you say it. It's how you say it.
It's how you say it. Think about that, bro. Who would think that this would be the preferred way of doing this, bro? Oh, if we was in Egypt, but they started listing out all type of things. And when I was reading this, I was like, oh, y'all was eating kind of good. Like, I can't lie. You know what I mean? They started saying the cucumbers, the melons, the leeks, the onions, and garlic. Bro, I was one person, onions and garlic, bro. That's a winning combination right there, bro. In terms of seasoning, that's a winning combination there.
Yeah, bro. I understood the power of garlic and college. I was
bro,
like,
onion, bro, that's the crazy thing, bro.
Yeah.
Like, for real, bro. So, I'm like, all right, bro. Like, human needs, bro. You feel me? Granted, if God say this all we need, bro, that's all we need. But then guess what? It's a difference between God saying this all we need and God saying, bro, I don't want to spoil y'all right now, bro. It's lessons y'all got to go through. When you on a diet and you working out, bro, you can't eat the donut. And if you eat the donut, you got to outwork the donut. You understand what I'm saying? So it's better to don't eat the donut, bro, truthfully.
And then one thing, I mean, one could argue that their diet got so perverse in Egypt too.
True.
Like, y'all was eating all manner of things in Egypt. Manner, not manna of things in Egypt.
And then there were certain things y'all couldn't eat because remember, Moses couldn't even offer sacrifice in remember Pharaoh was like, yo, just go in the courtyard or something and offer sacrifice. And they could stone us. They could stone us for that because there were certain meats that was sacred to them.
Sacred, yep.
That y'all couldn't eat. So you couldn't eat a calf, probably couldn't eat a lamb, stuff like that. So what that leave? Like,
and shepherds were detested.
Shepherds were detested, bro. So like, truthfully, they in Egypt, it's safe to say personally that it was like stuff that you definitely shouldn't be eating that they was trying to eat. And then the things that you could eat, they didn't want you to eat type of thing, just off the strain of what they could have sacrificed and not sacrificed. And so what better way to actually get everything back on pace than to provide the diet for everyone. Jesus provided the meals, you know?
And so You want to read through the story? Just want to give them the Cliff Note version.
We can get on the Cliff Note version.
So essentially, the people complained for quail.
Wait, certain things we gotta read though, bro. I ain't gonna lie. But go on.
So let's read it then.
No, because bro, when Moses talking to God, bro, you gotta read that, bro. Anyway, I think we can just read through it quick, man.
Yeah, let's go. Okay, so I'm gonna pick up from verse 7. The manna was like coriander seed and looked like resin. And the people went around gathering it, and they gathered it on a hand mill and crushed it like mortar. And they cooked it in a pot and made it into cakes. And it tasted like something made with olive oil. When the dew settled in the camp at night, the manna came down also. Moses heard the people of every family wailing, each at an entrance to his tent. The Lord became exceedingly angry, and Moses was troubled. He asked the Lord, "Why have you brought this people on your servant?"
There's trouble.
"What have I done to displease you that you put the burden of all these people on me? Did I conceive all these people? Did I give birth to them? Why do you tell me to carry them in my arms as a nurse carries an infant to the land you promised an oath to their forefathers? Where can I get meat for these people? They keep wailing to me, 'Give us meat to eat.' I cannot carry all these people by myself. The burden is too heavy for me. If this is how you are going to treat me, put me to death right now. If I have found favor in your eyes, and do not let me face my own ruin." This was the most borderline "I'm complaining to you, but help me" prayer I've ever heard in my life.
Bro, and that's why I said we had to read that, bro. Because when I was reading, I couldn't believe that was Moses talking.
Because like one would argue, especially with Soto, like, bro, did you lose your faith right now?
See, and that's what make me think this could be the first time they get the quail, bro. You understand what I'm saying? Like, no lie, bro. No lie. That made me think this the first time, bro. Because this can't be bro, if y'all get the quail in year 1, when y'all get the manna, as it was introduced to us in Exodus 16, they got quail and manna at the same time because they was complaining. You see what I'm saying? Bro, Moses, what you talking about? If I could get quail for all of these people, you do it last time? You get the quail last time? Understand what I'm saying? So like, I don't know, bro. I don't know, because Moses, he was troubled. And truthfully, just to shoot Moses some bail, you could see the pressure was getting them. Understand what I'm saying? He had already been in a situation where they was about to kill him. We see Aaron crack under pressure, and it didn't even seem like too much pressure was on Aaron. Like,
don't take much air for Aaron to crack. We can see that next anyway.
Exactly. But Moses, we already had a few times when these people come, and sometimes it probably getting worse and worse. And in year 2, you still dealing with this, bro. It's just certain things which you just can't take for so long. You know what I mean? So he just like, God, why I gotta bear this yoke? You promised this land to their ancestors, mine too, but you were like, this wasn't a conf. You ain't introduced this with me. Like, you promised this to Abraham, but Abraham ain't had to go through none of this type of thing. You understand what I'm saying?
Abraham had it easy.
Exactly. You had it easy, bro. You only had a couple sons, bro. We got to deal with hundreds of thousands of them.
Exactly. Yes, I know Aaron started to sacrifice his son. So Abraham started to sacrifice his son. So he had it easy, but playing
No,
off
I can't think of no one else in the Old Testament who had a bigger task than Moses.
Yeah, I know. Some people might argue that Abraham.
We ain't trying to minimize it, Abraham.
Yeah, just making sure, we said it straight. But yeah, I mean, to me, this really shows the human side of Moses as well. Like, we saw this guy had a lot of patience, but every human has their breaking point. So we see it was a lot for him. And Numbers really is a book that we see cost Moses a lot. So, but yeah, my mind was like, God, I don't know what to do. Like, because to me, the beginning really just shows a lack of faith. And it was really complaining, but it was a complaining in a very interesting way because he kind of curved it at the end. But like, did I give birth to them? What did I do to deserve this? This how you treating me? Like, bro, that's complaining, bro. Like, I don't like, to me, that part I can't really shake.
Yeah, I can't rationalize it. I can only say you can see the pressure getting them because this is a humble man who getting like this. Yeah. And then truthfully, right?
Can you talk to me like that? She be telling me I have attitude.
What? But all of this is attitude, bro. You and me wouldn't be wrong in that, bro. That's attitude. I don't know what else to call that, bro. That's a lot of attitude, bro. It's like when people say like I ain't asked to be born, like, or I ain't asked to be here type of thing.
What you back talking?
Yeah, what you trying to say really? You understand? Like God can say, what you trying to say? You trying to say make a mistake? That's what you trying to say? You know what I mean? Or you too good for this? What you saying? What you saying, bro? But I get it though, because truthfully, Moses in Exodus has already tried to deflect. First of all, he tries to let them know, bro, let's not complain, bro. It's a better way to go about this, number one. And number two, when y'all do complain, y'all ain't complaining to me, y'all complaining to God. But they don't get that. They complaining to Moses. So Moses got to bear the frustration based on God's decision. So now Moses saying, bro, why me? Like, why I getting pulled into this type of thing? You know what I mean? Which I don't feel like that's showing faith. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even think that's pretty humble to even express your concerns like that for real. But who knows? God didn't seem to be offended by that. You know what I'm saying?
And God said, bring me 70 of Israel's elders who are known to you as leaders and officials among the people. Have them come to the tent of meeting, that they may stand there with you. I will come down and speak with you there, and I will take off the spirit that is on you and put the spirit on them. Because I was literally thinking to him, like, bro, what the elders, like, don't you have elders for this very purpose, that they don't have to come to you to complain about this?
For real.
I feel like these elders was getting off easy.
Yeah, I don't really know how rigorous their tasks were for real.
Because I feel it was like Moses and then to some extent the priests.
Yeah, and it still sounds like, even despite all that, it still sounds like Moses doing everything. Like,
yeah,
like everything that from like a country standpoint, Moses was taking care of for real.
It was like, yeah, y'all just have a title, but y'all ain't pulling y'all weight.
And what? They ain't listening to nothing Jethro had to say.
And he said, tell the people, consecrate yourselves in preparation for tomorrow, when you will eat meat. The Lord said, you will be tomorrow when you will eat meat. The Lord heard you when you wailed. If only we had meat to eat. We were better in Egypt. Now the Lord will give you meat, and you will eat it.
Oh, yeah.
You will not eat it just for 1 day, or 2 days, or 5 days, or 20 days, but for a whole month, until it comes out of your nostrils and you loathe it. Because you have rejected the Lord, who is among you, and you have wailed before him, saying, why did we ever leave Egypt?
Because in actuality, right, God basically saying, y'all tired of the manna, right? But literally, if whatever I give you, you're going to get tired of. You know, you understand what I'm saying? So it can come a time and you just have to get used to it for the time being. Because truthfully, either that or you asking me to be your personal chef, give you like a 5-star meal every day.
Get you some melons and some berries
some cucumbers.
raining from heaven.
Yeah, no.
God say, I just imagine, like, you want quail? I'll give you quail.
I know I'll give you quail now.
I'll give you quail.
Oh, you can get it now.
For 1 day? No. For you, complaining like that just for 1 day? Come on. What type of God would I be just to give it to you for 1 day? 2 days? Come on. That level of complaining? Clearly you want it for at least a week. A week? Nah, you're getting it for a month. And to me, it's also a theme of Numbers too. Like, and we're going to see this, especially when we get closer to the end.
What you asked for?
God gives you. God gives you what you ask for. Because here's the, like, he might want better for you, but if you so fixed in your ways and you so set on doing something, God's like, okay, I'm going to just give you over to your ways. And we see in Romans where God said, he gave them over to their perverse desires. Like, y'all want to do this?
So
go for it.
You can get it now.
Because then the humans still have their own will. Okay, so
verse 21.
Verse 21, Moses said, here I am among 600,000 men on foot. And you say, I will give them meat to eat for a whole month? But would they have enough if flocks and herds were slaughtered for them? Would they have enough if all the fish in the sea were caught for them? The Lord answers Moses, is the Lord's arm too short?
Because you can see Moses have an attitude, bro. Moses has an attitude, no lie.
Oh, man, this just reminds me of Moses in the burning bush. His ignorance almost coming back. I remember I was like, bro, who gave you your mouth? Like, we see this a lot, like, bro, what you really asking here? Let's get to the bottom of this. What are you really asking me,
because he's frustrated with the Israelites, but he giving it to God right now.
Exactly.
He said, no, because he basically said, but you can get him the quail, but they can get hungry again. So you prepared to give them the whole ocean? You know what I mean? Like, if they want fishing. You see what I'm saying? Because I think Moses basically trying to say, at this point, bro, why are we giving them what they want? You understand what I say? Like,
The Lord answers Moses, is the Lord's arm too short?
see, and this time God have to answer you now. I allow you to talk a little spicy the first time. Because truthfully, you didn't birth these people. You understand what I'm saying? I'm asking you to be their leader. But now you questioning me. You questioning my decision. And you making it seem like I have a weakness. I don't, bro. Remember who I am. You of all people should know who I am. You see what I said?
Exactly.
Like,
And then so he said, you will now see whether or not what I say will come true for you. No long slapping up. And at the end of the day, and it's true. At the end of the day, you got to make a decision for yourself. Because there's going to come a point where no matter what I do, you still have to make a decision. Because I've already done more than enough for y'all to know who I am, especially you, Moses. Because it's almost like you forgot all of the works that I worked through you against the children, the people of Egypt. All the plagues that bringing you guys through the Red Sea. Like, you should know, if anything, you talked to me on a mountain, Moses.
you saw my...
Your face
you
is
saw my
shining
glory.
because you see my glory. But here you are, like, doubting me now? With all these questions?
But over simple stuff like quail, bro. Like,
Anyway, so Moses went on and told the people what the Lord had said. He brought together 70 of the elders and had them stand out in front of the tent. And the Lord came down in the cloud and spoke with him. And he took the spirit that was on him and put the spirit on the 70 elders. When the spirit rested on them, they prophesied. But they did not do so again. However, 2 men whose names were Eliad and Medad had remained in the camp. They were listed among the elders, but did not go out to the tent. Yet the Spirit also rested on them, and they prophesied in the camp. Why they gone in the camp? Anyway, a young man ran and told Moses, Eliad and Medad prophesying in the camp. Joshua, son of Nun, there goes Joshua again. Who had
been a snitch this time,
though. Who had been Moses' aide since you spoke up and said, Moses, my Lord, stop them. Moses replied, are you jealous for my sake? I wish that all the Lord's people were prophets and that the Lord put a spirit on them.
Yeah, no, because truthfully, I can understand what Moses is saying right now. Like, no, bro, no. I wish they was prophets. You know what I mean? Like,
take some of this burden off of me.
Right, and then the more prophets, the less they could be complaining, because the more people closer to God and stuff. But this remind me of the disciples. It was like, hey, we see people preaching and teaching in your name, and they wasn't one of us, bro. So we stopped them, and God was like, no, whoever. You know what I mean? Whoever in against us is for us, like, you know. So you can see Joshua he's starting to get a little cliquish, like, no, bro, it's us, bro. You understand? No, Moses is you, and it's natural because he's his protege type of thing. So we want to protect Moses' brand and all that, but he's like, no, bro, you jealous for me? You know, Joshua, he's ready for smoke at all times.
All time. He was ready to say, yeah, but y'all can't be doing this.
Right.
And then so we see from verse 31, God sent the quail. It was all over the ground all the day and the night. And the next day, the people went out and gathered quail. No one gathered less than 10 homers. Then they spread them out all around the camp. But while the meat was between their teeth and before it could be consumed, the anger of the Lord burned against the people, and he struck them with a severe plague. That place was called Abreathoffreshairpodcast, because there they buried the people who had craved other food. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. They get their quail, but they're enjoying it too much. They start hoarding it. Like.
All right, so I guess this is the last chapter we cover in this episode. Verse 12, in chapter 12. And so this is an interesting story. Some would say it's sibling rivalry. So we see Miriam and Aaron began to talk against Moses because of his Cushite wife. For he had married a Cushite. Has the Lord spoken only through Moses, they asked? Hasn't he also spoken through us? And the Lord heard this. Because see, in verse 12, verse 3, now Moses was a very humble man, more humble than anyone else who had been on the face of the earth.
Imagine that.
So we could also see how frustrated the children of Israel were making Moses.
Because all of that complaining come from the world's most humble man at the time. Crazy.
And we see how humble Moses was too, because remember in Exodus, God offered to, bro, I'm going to start over with you.
Yeah,
you could be the face of all the Israelites now. I'm going to just wipe people out. And you see how Moses begged for their saving.
Please, Lord, just if you please with me, stay with us. You know what I mean?
And spare them, yeah.
Because I think it happened 2 times in Exodus. Like he's gonna kill them all and let Moses be the thing. And then he was like, no, y'all can go, and I just ain't coming with y'all. And he's like, no, come with us. Like,
And then so we see in verse 12, Numbers 12, verse 4, at once the Lord said to Moses and Aaron and Miriam, come out to the tent of meeting, all 3 of you. So the 3 of them came down. Then the Lord came down in a pillar of cloud. He stood at the entrance to the tent and summoned Aaron and Miriam. When both of them stepped forward, he said, listen to my words. When a prophet from the Lord is among you, I will reveal myself to him in visions. I will speak to him in dreams. The dreams is a powerful thing because and not even to like harp on this point, but we've seen through the Old Testament how God has communicated with his people. It's like the very important people, I would say, in dreams. Joseph had dreams. Abram had dreams. Jacob had visions of the night and dreams. So we just see how important that dream thing is. In 12 verse 7, but this is not true of my servant Moses. He is faithful in all my house. With him I speak face to face.
So he promoted from dreams.
And clearly and not in riddles. He sees the form of the Lord. When then were you not afraid to speak against Moses, my servant? Why then were you not afraid to speak against my servant Moses?
Like how you have the guts to speak against, like why you ain't scared to speak against Moses, considering how close me and Moses is, type of thing. And what is the relevance of him having a Cushite wife? You understand what I'm saying? Like
in ancient times, the kingdom of Cush, there's actually a kingdom for people who don't know history. I'm kind of a little mini history nerd at some points in time, but the kingdom of Cush was a kingdom south of Egypt, and that kingdom was like some of the ancient Africans, as you would think about it too, like they were darker skinned, they were a warrior tribe of people too. Like at one point in time, they even conquered all of Egypt. It's like they were actually ruling Egypt for a point in time too. Egypt had many different rulers throughout the ages. Like I feel like every great nation conquered Egypt.
yeah.
I don't know, it's just a curse God put on them, but like almost like every people that conquered Egypt. You go through like Rome conquered Egypt, Greece conquered Egypt. So you got like Alexander the Great, who even founded the city of Alexandria in Egypt. So there's a lot of stuff like Egypt went throughout the years. But
yeah, it is.
Might have been some type of racism, prejudice.
That's what I'm trying to get at. I take that as racism. Racism and/or prejudice, because we recognize that Cushites were of the darker complexion. They look like the standard face of Africa that we know. You understand? Like not like the televised version, but like just pure what Africans look like type of thing. So I don't know if that was the issue, because Moses them more than likely was from the Middle East, you know, because they would have to cross over to get to Egypt. The Hebrews and stuff I'm talking about, or because she was like from like one of the Canaanites, and we're not supposed to. She was from a Canaanite area, you understand? Because we know that her father was a priest, you know, so that means they followed the Most High God, so it couldn't have been a religious thing. But maybe because she was born in the land of Canaan. I don't know, because technically all of them was born in the land of Canaan, because all of them would have been born in Egypt, even though they would have been descendants of. So it probably was just because she was dark skinned, bro. No lie, because why else this is the first time we even know. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's like some versions of the Bible even say, was that an Ethiopian wife? Just to give other context with people. But yeah, like that's kind of where Cush was in the ancient times as well. So
yeah, bro. So
either way, they didn't like her because she was a Cushite.
Yeah, and Miriam started talking crazy like, man, shoot, it don't always gotta be Moses. You want to see Moses got a Cushite? You know, ain't he speak to us and all? And then Miriam was quote unquote
a prophet.
A prophetess. So
it wasn't even quote unquote. Like the Bible introduced us as Miriam a prophet.
That's no, but I'm saying quote unquote because we don't know what she quote prophesying. Yeah. So now she being real and she's saying, hasn't he spoken to us? Like, come on now, you know. But I don't know what Miriam's getting at, bro. Like, this your sister.
This your brother who leading her. Like, you should be happy.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
you should be happy. Like, there should be no animosity. Y'all should be supporting them.
Right, you ain't gonna be my wife no matter what.
Where Aaron get off at, bro? See, let's address Aaron. Where did Aaron get off at? Coming at his brother like Aaron, you done faulty up with the golden calf. Yeah, Aaron. Your sons done faulty up. Like Aaron, where you get off at now is like any little resistance you have, you're like, oh yeah, okay, I'm on your side now.
Bro, yeah, Aaron just don't seem like he's standing against wrong. You understand what I'm saying? Like when he faced with wrong, it seemed like he just like
his backbone ain't there.
Yeah, it's like it's what else for me.
But it's so funny how God sent him to like, talk for Moses at the beginning.
No, that's because Moses was faultying up, bro. If Moses, you understand, if Moses was being confident in what God was doing, it probably wouldn't have come to Aaron. But he probably picked the most comfortable person for Moses to work with, But then truthfully, it was even more interesting to me. Aaron he didn't get no punishment for this. Only Miriam, we know Miriam was the ringleader.
Yeah, let's even get to that too. So in verse 10, we see like when the cloud lifted from above the tent, my version says, there stood Miriam, leprous. So leprous like snow. Aaron turned to her and saw that she had leprosy, and then he said to Moses, please, my Lord, do not hold against us this sin we have so foolishly committed. Do not let her be like a stillborn infant coming from the mother's womb with its flesh half eaten away. So Moses cried out to the Lord, oh God, please heal her. The Lord replied to Moses, if her father had spit on her face, would she not have been in a disgrace for 7 days? Confine her outside the camp for 7 days. After that, she can be brought back. So Miriam was confined outside the camp for 7 days, and the people did not move on until she was brought back. After that, they left Hazeroth and encamped in the desert of Paran.
And that was interesting to me because you remember, I think the land was Midian that Moses went to. So they describe her as a Cushite this time around. You understand what I'm saying? So like to me, I feel like they only do that so you could understand this was a skin thing. And then what happened to Miriam? A skin thing. Once again, you weren't with someone's skin, dark skin. You see they saying so now you could be white. As in leprous, not as in like
I understand.
Yeah,
I was doing that all this episode.
It wasn't for you. It wasn't for you. It was for someone else thinking like I hear people who believe like that's a curse and you understand like whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, so bro, like to me that's just so crazy, bro. Because sometimes you have to read between the lines. I must admit, you have to read between the lines. But here we see this another thing on racism in the Bible. We had stuff on slavery, stuff on racism and stuff, and this in the Torah, bro. Like,
it just shows how deep rooted some of these problems are today.
Truthfully,
just shows how really deep rooted they are,
and it shows how God ain't leave it unpunished. Or you can get yours. Imagine God give someone leprosy because he was talking with someone's wife. That to me that's a bit extreme, but it just go to show how serious of a matter Miriam was carrying on and how God feel about that. I'm feeling that this Moses is my boy, bro. You understand what I'm saying?
And then they too like
what you running on with?
Even it's like even besides, I mean, yeah, Moses too. But I'm like, even besides that, like, this still my child too.
Yeah, Fox.
It's still my child. Like, I like how you say too, like the thing you trying to pick on, the thing you treasure. Okay, now look at yours. How valuable it is, whatever color you was.
Bro, this what we can see.
Whatever complexion you were.
This what we can see throughout the book of Numbers, bro. You want this, you can get this. You making fun of this, you can get this. When we see Balaam, y'all want this, but y'all can get this. You understand what I'm saying? It's like, that's what we can look forward to in the book of Numbers. So I'm glad we iron out a lot of these like instruction-based things and just like facts, we iron out that, and now we can move forward and get to some of the juiciness in the book of Numbers. But one thing for sure, ladies and gentlemen, one thing to remember is that God has laid down his rules. And if you go against it, God ain't gonna fight with you all the time. Sometimes he's give you exactly what you ask for. It's no secret that the Israelites are unhappy with their time in the desert. However, after receiving so much instruction from God, they still found time to complain and share their grievances. But now, they may have complained 1 or 10 times too many. But we'll talk about Caleb, Joshua, and the other 10 Israelite spies on the next episode of A Breath of Fresh Air. Tonight's episode included voice acting by Dominic McFall and Lyndell Juste. Remember to go ahead and research on your own in order to get a more firm understanding of tonight's episode. And if you enjoyed it, make sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. You can follow us on social media at A Breath of Fresh Air Pod on Instagram and BOFAPOD on Twitter. Thanks, everyone, and we'll see you next week.